Hello, sweet souls, and welcome to the We Are the Medicine podcast. I am your host, Dania Anastasia. I am a spiritual being having a human experience as a planter of seeds, alternative medicine practitioner, and trail guide on the path of life. We Are the Medicine is an exploration of the human experience through our stories. Our stories heal, our stories are our medicine, our experiences are our medicine. This is how we learn, grow, inspire, expand, and connect. My hope is that you will listen for inspiration and deeper understanding of how your individual life plays a role in that of the collective. I also hope to engage you, the listener, in conversations around your own dinner tables, in cafes and boardrooms, so that we may all begin to hold space for one another. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the We Are the Medicine podcast. Today, my guest is Donna Dimino. She is a healer of all levels, and I met her recently through a program that we have gone through together. And I am going to read a little bit about Donna and her work in the world before we launch into our delicious conversation. In 2004, Donna Dimino created Living Body Awareness, a program that combines nourishing connected movement, spiritual inquiry, and creative practices that explore the innate wisdom and power of the body to guide, to nourish, to heal, and to connect us back to our pure selves. This original work draws from Donna's training and study in dance, in body alignment, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, energy work, spirituality and mysticism, sound healing, empowerment coaching, theater, essential oils, body-centered meditation, and her greatest teachers, the body and nature. Using an intuitive sense, Donna works with listening to the language of the body to look more deeply as to what is needed for each individual experience. She believes that our body can act as a map to guide us back to ourselves, allowing us to make choices in alignment with who we truly are and what we truly want to create in our lives and in our world. She has shared her work with people ages 12 through 95, facilitating customized programs for college nursing programs and employee assistance programs, expectant mothers with the New York Foundling, dentists, social workers, business owners, lawyers, staff wellness programs for teachers, caregivers, the prison population, high school students, senior communities, massage therapists, staff wellness days, retreats, and conferences. She offers classes, private sessions, workshops, staff wellness days, retreats, and special events. And the best way for you to reach out to Donna is through her website, livingbodyawareness.com. Welcome to the show, Donna.
Nadia, thank you so much. I am just so excited to be here.
We were having a delightful conversation. I usually start with asking you how your life has gotten you to this point, but it sounds like that's going to mix in with this conversation that I would like to bring forward and continue with you. I was discussing a little bit about my own resistance to wanting to be out in the world and be my authentic self when the rest of the world isn't on the same page as me sometimes. And this has come up time and time again for me of how to, and intellectually I know it, in my body I feel it, but there's still some part of me that struggles with allowing people to be right where they are. I don't hold judgment, but what I do is I kind of go into myself because I'm a little fearful of saying the wrong thing, of offending them, of not honoring where they are in that moment. And I know that that pulls me out of my alignment. I think I have such a deep passion and a desire to get the world to feel better, to get the world to see things a little differently, because what we've been doing, it just isn't working. That I would like some input. I would like your exploration of how to effectively and consciously, in alignment, hold space for another person who may be having a really, really crappy time in life, or is just so entrenched in the complaining of what they see as opposed to what their potential is.
I love that. What they see as opposed to what their potential is. Yeah. First of all, Denise, I just want to say this is such a valuable conversation, I think, and I thank you for your authenticity and just, just even this exploration, the awareness of it is so powerful. Yeah, and I am as well learning so much about this as I go, and I would say also getting to know the truth of who I am as I explore this. And as somebody who often felt, who feels energy so deeply and can see programs and patterns and feel people's pain and all of that, I shared briefly that I was in an exploration of something that a healer, a mentor of mine, had said.
Yeah.
He feels that no harm can come to him. And that's been my exploration as somebody who deeply feels other people's energy and who deeply cares about other people having a life that of possibility and that feels good to them. I think that what I'm finding more and more is that when I can just simply be in my own alignment, when I can just keep saying to myself, what is true for me at this moment? What is true for me at this moment? And first of all, that allows me to be present to that person wherever they are, whatever they need, whatever space that is. The other thing is to allow myself in this conversation of no harm can come to me, and that I'm not going to pick up things or, sense of being out of not having the capability to just say, wait a minute, this is me and this is you. As I'm exploring that, I am allowing myself to simply receive more, just receive. And that ability to be more receptive to everything, really, to my own challenges, to life, and to whoever I seem to come, my path crosses with, is allowing a whole nother realm of freedom and I think allowance of the moment, as well as alignment.
Yeah.
If that's not too hard to, if that's.
No, it totally makes sense. And I love that you tied it into receiving, because, and I'm a very visual learner. So all of the teachings I've ever learned, I've been drawing them out so that I can make better sense of them in my head. So when you said that, if you're sitting across the table from somebody, and it could be someone that you've recently just met, or someone you've known forever, or a family member, and they start to bring up something that isn't necessarily uncomfortable for you to talk about, but the direction, the energy where it's going is not where you would like it to go. Instead of, blurting out saying, you know what, let's talk about it in a different way, or completely dismissing the other person's space, like receive and not receiving them by absorbing, right? It's receiving them as the divine being that they are, because they are me and I am them. They just are on a different part of their path.
Yeah, and I think it's that space of maybe the balance. And I just love this because it is really that allowance at the same time. Allowance, that word has changed my life. Allowance. And what brings tears to my eyes is that, receptivity, receiving, and allowance are feminine qualities. They are feminine qualities
Yes.
that have been so deeply undervalued, which is not the word, really annihilated over and over for 10,000 years. And I don't say that as a criticism. I say that as an imbalance that, females, males, all of us need to start to, I don't say need to, but I think are really being urged to, invited to in this time of evolution, to start to remember and start to bring into balance. And I think we as women, again, not in any way that we're better or more this, but I think we have a key to this because of the way that we are made. And what do I mean by this? And this is just my take on it. There was a beautiful woman, Alison Armstrong. When I was having issues in my marriage, I looked up the differences between men and women and trying really to understand, in a way of nature, the basic differences. And she at some point said that when women are in their power, when they are in their joy, there is literally something released from their heart that empowers men so much that when I can be in that place of alignment and truthful, there is simply an opening. And I think as women, through this very difficult fire and pulling out of the rug to our very nature, who we are, and being gaslighted over and over again with these feminine qualities, that it's up to us now to no longer buy into that, to start to learn who we are as women, and men to see who they are as also a balanced person, right? The masculine and the feminine, both of them, because they've certainly been criticized for that as well, right? Not allowed to live those feminine qualities in a way, so many, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, and I want to see if I can bring this back to our conversation. And so what I'm finding again is that when I can be in alignment, when I can hold that space into alignment, and what I'll share is that I have found that most difficult with my husband and with my mother, right? Through some things. And recently I really see that, I'm able to say, I just can't participate in this energy. I can't do it, And so I can't have this conversation.
Is this something that you say out loud to them?
It just started.
Wow. Yeah.
And my mom got it. Like, she got it instantly. And she came back to the beautiful woman that she is. And I don't see that very often. She's in a really tough place. She's had a very tough life, and she hasn't been capable of doing the work, is what I'll say. And so it's been a rough, but gosh, I wish I'd known this sooner, because it brings her back to herself instantly. And that's the path I'm on right now. And I was sharing with Donia that there's just something about And here it is, receiving again, receiving people where they're at and allowing, but also I think first allowing ourselves, right, Dania, allowing ourselves not to throw ourselves under the bus, so to speak, in the
Right.
same path, right? That's the thing. And as people who are just sensitive, and I grapple with that word because it feels like a, you know, a disability in a way, you know.
It feels like a sentence. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And, you know, and, you know, I can share this with food because I've eaten since the 1980s. I've had, you know, guttural issues, and I have found, you know, all different ways of eating. And now I just really believe with the work I do that it's just how the body feels and to respond to, you know, what it is. And I sort of know things, and I try not to know in the moment and see how I feel. But it's been, you know, always, and still people say to me when I choose to eat in a certain way, when I choose it, oh, you're so sensitive, that must be so hard, and you're so, you know. And no, really, it's really that it feels good.
Yeah.
Alignment with what I believe about the earth and our bodies, and what I believe about my body in particular, because I think some people can just eat anything and be okay, and that's fine. But there's this detriment about being sensitive. And so coming as a person who really does sense things so deeply, to be able to just stay in the truth of who I am each moment and be able to say, I love what you said. Did you actually say that? I actually said that, and be able to actually say in that moment in a way that can be heard.
Right.
And the only way I can do that is if I'm in my alignment. And if the words don't come out correctly, maybe even say, you know, I don't know how this is going to come out. I don't know if you're open to this, but I simply, you know, I can't be involved in that energy right now, or whatever, you know, I can't go there right now. And so, and I find that, you know, my husband too, he gets it, you know, it's like, okay. And my mom, who really lives in a, you know, in a place that is very victim, and, you know, and she has been through an awful lot. And, but, you know, again, in not healing that, I think we can cause harm unintentionally because of that place. But she is getting it, Dania, and I'm amazed. And it's so freeing. It's so beautiful. And you know, sharing with Dania, when I love to walk, I love nature, I love to be outside. And some of the gifts I have that I are simply gifts. I don't even know even how to explain them sometimes, or, you know, they just are there. But is that I'm able to see people for who they are, and sort of illuminate that light somehow just by seeing it. And it brings such joy. Like the moment I see them, and it brings me such joy because I can feel the truth of who they are. And there's this exchange that happens. And I have learned to be detached from any outcome that, you know, because not everybody will respond in that way. And some people just need to be in that place that they're in. But I think what I've learned, Dania, and I love this, is more of who I am. And that gift, like that gift that I had nothing to do with, right? That came to me simply because it's part of my unique soul's path, perhaps. This gift of being able to see people's light and to illuminate that, and have them see that within themselves. You know, it that knowing that about myself and owning that more brings me more into alignment, and I can just detach more and just offer that gift, you know, and they'll take it or not take it, right? And if they're in a tough place, and I feel a little bit of kickback, right, because maybe they can't see that in themselves right now, or maybe what I'm emanating is not something they can receive right now because they're in such a difficult place. It's just okay, as long as I continue to stay with my truth and not dim my light, right? Not dim my light because they're in a place that's hard, which is what I think I did. This really brings tears to my eyes again so often with my own family, you know, and the difficulties there. And as I can expand and understand who I am and receive that, really receive that, it becomes easier to be around people. And yes, I can choose to step away or to say, I just can't participate in this energy. And that's okay. Let them be where they are. And I'll either step away or they'll shift. And then I can be there. So I hope that's helpful.
It is so helpful. And it's just, this is just the space that I find myself in more and more. And I have that masculine practical mind of that I'm working on integrating with the feminine, that I feel so empowered by what I've been doing and how it's been working for me. And it's kind of been, it's nothing that I've actually really paid for. It's not something that it's something that I've been realizing that I've always had. And I just get so passionate and so excited about where I'm at in my journey that I kind of want to, I want to just open the doors and show everybody what's possible. And the fact that your mom has never been given the opportunity or even the inclination that, or maybe even just the time to do it, to elevate herself, when you can bring something to her that she may have never even heard before, and you can watch her armor melt a little bit, and that she gets it without putting in the countless years and struggles of the dark nights of the soul, and reading and learning from other teachers, that innately she gets it. She just gets it because that's who we all are at the core. And because of the way that you've been able to hold space for her, obviously she felt that it was okay to kind of let down the guard. I'm not afraid. I'm concerned about hurting someone's feelings, right? I'm concerned about, I've been told before in my life that I have a very condescending tone sometimes. And so I'm very aware of, when I have a conversation with somebody, that I'm really connecting with them as opposed to telling them what they need to do. Because it's never my intention. It's never my intention to allude to the fact that you're doing it wrong, or you're not doing it enough, or this is the better way. And it takes a lot of practice. I know a lot of my listeners are friends and family of mine that I have behaved this way with them before. And if I can just globally say, I'm getting better at it, because that's what we really want to be. And there's still a part of me that I just don't think I don't know if it's that I'm not ready to fully step into my power, because of the beliefs and the conditioning and the stories and all of the things that have provided the contrast for me up until this date. But I'm working on it, and I love the opening, the receiving, the feminine energy that a woman I just interviewed the other day, the feminine and masculine energies is just, it's coming up in every conversation I have now. And I just love it, that to no fault of any movement in on the planet, women have, I think we have unfortunately taken the cue that in order to be successful, in order to be everything and have everything that we want, we have to engage more with our masculine. We have to play in that arena as the masculine energies of us. And thus we're diminishing, we're forgetting that we also have that feminine side. And that is more of what the world needs, because it's so lacking. We're not about being a boss babe and hustling and competing. We're all in this together. And the feminine energy is so nurturing and so receptive and so open that when we can all come from that alignment place, when we can all come with an open heart, an open space, whether you're male or female or whatever you identify as, you feel welcomed and you feel okay to express exactly what it is that you need to express without fear of judgment, without fear of criticism. Because I think that's one of my biggest things. I can't control how anyone takes what I say. But I definitely don't want to be the catalyst to put you further down into self-sabotage or self-criticism. It's the last. I want to be an uplifter.
Yeah. Oh, Dania, so much here, so much here. Again, I just so appreciate your authentic vulnerability. It's just so, I just honor it. I just want to honor that. And yeah.
Thank you. It's as a phrase my mom always said, I don't get it from licking it off the grass. It takes some work. It takes some very deep introspection as to what really makes me come alive, what makes me feel good on a moment to moment basis. And if it's not feeling good for me, it can't feel good for anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really my work, is that, you're right, with the body. And so but there's so much here. And I want to just backtrack for two things, because my mom, I think since I'm 4 years old, I think one of the other things that I've been given is to be able to hold a space of possibility for people. And my mom, I think, has not been able to receive it over and over and over again in a way that could give her enough freedom to even just begin to not judge herself, not go back to and to let go of the atrocities that she had as a child. She grew up in foster homes and boarding homes. She was, it was not good. Yeah. She had a childhood. And for whatever the reason that I'm finally coming to allow, right? She has not been capable. She has not wanted to do the depth of work that could possibly free her. What I love what you're saying is what I'm starting to see now. Let me see if there's three pieces. One is the rose, one is the earth during COVID, and one is Rain Elizabeth Stickley. So three that I would love to bring into the conversation. So first of all, for me during COVID, the thing that I was most riveted with was how quickly the earth changed, how quickly the earth started to become, for me, the skies were brighter, the stars were clearer. There was a difference in the air quality. More animals were coming out, right? The earth started to be her true self, her own nature more expansively, loudly, because we stopped bombarding her with things that weren't true to her nature. And right, yeah. And I thought, this is us. We can, as quickly as that, heal physically, right? Come back into alignment mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as quickly as that. When we can come back into our own truth, our true nature, the natural design, our true blueprint, however you want to say it, our original instructions, right? And when we are in joy, we are there. There's no if, ands, or buts. And So I've been on a path to think about, all right, I felt I got a message that this is possible for us. First of all, for the body to heal, right? Physically, which is what I love to do, but also for us emotionally, trauma-wise, everything to heal. And I keep finding evidence for that, right?
Yes.
And let me bring in Rain. Rain Elizabeth Stickley, both Doni and I have been guests on her amazing podcast, Every Moment is Sacred. For those of you who have not listened, we just can't invite you to do that enough. And Rain is this amazing present woman, presence, incredible presence. And she, and I'm not going to get this all right. Details are often hard for me to remember because I'm very intuitive in the moment, but she has something called, anyway, I can't remember the name. She has this beautiful gratitude practice. And I think it was derived from observing dragonflies. And what she shares, and you can go to her website. I think it's Elizabeth at Healing Arts, but you can just Google her name, Rain Elizabeth Stickley. And she was observing that the dragonfly, unlike the butterfly, does not have to go into a cocoon and change its DNA. It doesn't have to do that. It gets its wings, and I cannot remember, please listen to her story, in a much more easeful, or for everyone, effortless way. And that's what I'm coming to see is possible for all of us now. And I think that when we can, so let me go to the rose, right? So I've been obsessed with roses for the last couple of years. And because I've had a lot of issues in my home of air quality issues, I've been outside a lot. And roses, I will go to any roses that I'm in a 5-story building with 71 units. And so I don't have a lot of access. So I have to go out. And whenever I'm around roses, instantly, I will feel this place of who I am, the truth of who I am. I will feel my own beauty, my own joy, like I'm instantly lit up. And lately, what I've been doing, I smell them, and it's so amazing to me. You know, I'll go over to a rose and I'll touch the leaves, the softness of them, and I just instantly feel an exchange of energy that is so beautiful to me and so nourishing. But they don't give up their leaves easily. And I have often found that, I'll go over and I'll smell them and I'll often think, oh, I'd love to just walk with one of these. And every so often, I'll go to another rose, and right on top, something magical, like there'll be a leaf, separate, beautiful, not have fallen to the ground right there. I can take that, leaf, which is so incredibly beautiful. But the thing I knew about roses is that roses just receive. They do not resist the falling of their petals. They don't resist anything that's happening in nature. They have no resistance. They're just this amazing, receptive vehicle for life. And so I've been sort of studying this beautiful rose oracle and working with it. And I remembered hearing that the roses are the highest frequency, tangible frequency on the earth. And so recently I was on a beautiful podcast called The Well-Tended Life with this woman, Carrie. Her great-grandmother wrote The Secret Garden.
Oh my goodness.
Which was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
And so we had this conversation about roses. And I recently looked up that we as human beings, and this is on an energy level of megahertz, it's the best way I can describe it, but you can look this up. We vibrate between 68 megahertz and 72 megahertz. When we start not to feel well, we move down to 57 megahertz. When we move into illness, we move down to 20 megahertz, and it goes, right? Mm-hmm. Something like, I think lavender vibrates at 108.
Wow.
Essential oils, besides the roses, is the highest thing. I absolutely love essential oils. They instantly, in 2 seconds, it can shift our bodies. But the rose,
I take a whiff almost every time I gotta go do something.
you saw right before we started.
I did too. I do it every time.
It's amazing. Within 2 seconds, our body receives that. I think
Mhm.
within 20 minutes, it's in our systems, and within 2 hours, our cells are talking to each other with the essential oils. But roses vibrate at 320 megahertz. 320 megahertz. Love vibrates at 528, I think, hertz. So it is said that roses are the closest thing that we can tangibly experience to love, to the frequency of love. And so as I'm exploring this, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, right? So recently, with some difficulties, just intuitively, not only am I smelling roses, touching them, but I start to put my third eye on the rose. Dunia, it's like this download of the Akashic records. I don't even know how to say it.
Wow.
It is so powerful. And so as we come to really understand, I think COVID has helped us with this, the power of nature, and, I'm spending so much time barefoot earthing on the earth and all of this and studying this with my clients, and the results I'm getting is amazing. As we come to maybe a greater awareness of this, we will be able to come into alignment so much more easily, so much more quickly, just heal, come back to ourselves, know who we are, see who we are as we start to change the soil. Dr. Zach Bush, if anybody's interested in him, another person I recommend so highly. He, along with many scientists, and he is just constantly becoming and learning from the earth itself, the soil itself, about our bodies, ecosystems, and finding this incredible melding spirituality happening to all the people that are doing this. And it started with just, basic physical health, but it's melding into something else. And so what I'll say is what I was able to do with my mom, rather than try to change her, rather than try to step away and set up boundaries in a way that I just shut down really, and took the really challenging place, that the victim place that she was, and sort of took it, rather than just to say, the boundary is just that I can't stay with this, what you're saying. I just simply can't do it. Allowed her to sort of awaken. It sort of interrupted a pattern and allowed her to see herself, because I was true to myself and stayed in that alignment and said it in a way that was completely detached and just honoring who I was. If she hadn't gotten it, if she went into a place of resentment or anger, I could have just stepped away. I had the choice, but even that, I think, would have given her food for thought or food for feeling. It's like I have this, like, to say it, to say, what just happened there? And so I hope somehow this is cohesive in some way, what I'm sharing. Yeah.
It is. It is. I just wanted to make a quick correlation. So isn't it fascinating that the rose is the quintessential gift of love on birthdays, on holidays, on when you're gifting a friend something really sweet? Roses always come to mind, I think we've talked about this before.
Feminine essence, right? It is
right.
Mary Magdalene is called.
Yes. Yeah. The way of the rose.
Way of the rose, on Labyrinth, which, is related to her. To me, the center is often not said to be the rose, but that's how I see the Labyrinth. And so, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. We had a conversation a few months ago about this very thing. And I had brought forth that my grandmother, Mary Lucinda, she had the most beautiful rose gardens. Just doted on them. And she was approached one day by the local newspaper and said, Mary, you've been chosen, your gardens have been chosen to win our award this year. And she's like, what award? She's like, most beautiful garden. And she was so taken aback. And I found the article, I found the photo, I actually have it framed somewhere, but her last line in her interview was, it's about tending. They asked how she grew such beautiful roses, and she said it's more about tending to the earth. It's more about how you be present with something as simple as a rose bush and the earth that it's growing in, and getting your hands in the soil and feeling a part of it. And she unfortunately had passed way, way, way before I ever even knew there was anything like spirituality or alignment or anything. And knowing that about her, it completely shifted all of my memories of her. It shifted all of my memories of my own mother in that, because that is what's innate. We know this. We know, everyone knows this. We've just forgotten. And I love that we're bringing it back. I love that we're all remembering it and we're all sharing this together, because it is such a one community remembering. I guess it's just we're all starting to remember little bits by little bits by little bits. And when we all come together and share those little bits, such amazing, beautiful things are going to start happening, even more so than what we've seen now. I do believe that Mother Earth really needed a rest. And I believe she got it. And I believe that we're continuing that. We're embracing the time that we need to rest, which is the other part of the feminine energies, right? Is the resting and the recharging, instead of the masculine energy of doing all the time. I just love having
the balance. Yeah. Because I think for me, I can rest too much sometimes, in the feminine. I need to take that action a little bit more. So it really is. I love how you said that, Dania. It really is the balance of that. And gosh, but I think the issue is that the masculine has been so out in the forefront, so forced, that we do know that we may have to come to this other place, and of the feminine. And as we share this, it's like, yeah, that what I recognized with the ease, the effortlessness. And this is like, when I work with somebody to come back into physical alignment in their body, there is an effortlessness in their movement. There is such an ease in their body's capability to be free. And it's just, again, because we've come back to our original instructions, the natural design of who the body is, and how we were made to move.
Mm-hmm.
And same when we can come back to who we truly are and remember that, own that, see that, which is so much of receptivity, which is so much of receptacleness, and that is part of the feminine that is now, I think, rising despite of our imbalances. I think maybe it's just time. I don't know, but I feel this incredible joy and this essence of opening of the rose, like unfolding, like of each of us, this flower blooming, starting to bloom, this softness, the power of the softness. And maybe it's just because I'm recognizing who I am more and more, and maybe it's because I'm recognizing the feminine qualities within myself in new ways and receiving it. Maybe it's just simply because I'm receiving more, period. I'm able to receive more, that I am seeing this, but I think it's collectively that it's happening. I created a program in 2009 with this conversation in mind called A Joyful Force. And again, there's something about joy. And I remember talking to a mentor of mine who was a shaman and a medical and spiritual intuitive. And I just really looked up to her, but she kept saying, joy is not a force. And I kept saying, I think it is. I think it is. She goes, love is a force. And, let's feel, let's see if we can. I say joy is a force. I think that joy, when we're in joy, we cannot be in worry. We can't.
No.
When we're in joy, we cannot not be in alignment. It's just impossible.
Let me ask you something. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. So on the topic of joy.
Yes.
Years ago, I had either read or heard something about joy is so powerful because we understand its impermanence. And I'm just going to, a little example was, I used to have the most beautiful dog. He was a Mastiff mix. My God, I can't even remember what he was now. Anyway, huge, big face, beautiful, big dog, horribly, horribly, horribly abused. And he came to us, and for the very first time in his whole life, he was allowed to play. He was allowed to play without chains, without a box to live in, without being beaten. And it was like I think he was about 14 years old. He'd never had a toy before. He'd never had the opportunity to, we would throw a stick at him and he would play with the stick for hours. He would throw it up and he would catch it and he would wrestle with it. And it was just the most beautiful thing. And I would sit and I would watch him, and I could feel that joy in that being, knowing that he was ill, knowing that he would leave soon. And it just made that joy so much more, so much stronger in the moment. I wasn't pining over the fact that it was going to go away. Like, it still brings me so much joy when I look at the video or I look at the photo of him. I remember him playing. I remember the joy that it brought. And so that's what I mean by the impermanence of it, is that the life is balance. Everything is balance. And we can have an underpinning of joy coming through everything that we do, and help us when we're not in that place of joy to feel it more. And so I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it. I guess I'm trying to be the opposite of the idealist that I am and be a realist, that it's so joyful because I know it's not going to last forever. Because nothing lasts forever.
Yeah. And, how that hit me, Dania, is part of the work I do as well. Is twofold. Again, part of the work, and part of the healing that I had on the labyrinth, which I call a playground. It was like a playground for healing for me. But in my work, I think part of me being what I call a body advocate, and how and why I see the body as our greatest ally, really, our greatest champion, a warrior for us over and over, is that the body is the essence of how we feel, of feeling, of the divine technology of feeling. because we've been so out of balance, feeling being feminine quality, perhaps because we go inward, we have been denied that privilege. We have been told to do everything else but feel, right? Everything that's been taught to us for thousands of years.
Well, you're too sensitive. Stop feeling.
And I think that we have been trained to move away from just feeling in the moment, which is how I believe a system that we were given, a divine system to process life, just to feel in the moment. And if we look at nature that goes through seasons, right, of dying, of rebirth, of shining, and then of starting to die again, right, and the allowance of that, and just this ongoing thing. And we as human beings, basically, in our culture anyway, have been taught not to feel and to distract ourselves in every possible way to not feel. But that's never been so about joy. You can feel joy, but maybe you can't receive it. But what if we were able to feel pain or sadness the same way we feel the impermanence of joy?
Mm-hmm.
That in that
Yes.
moment, we just receive it because it feels good. And maybe we can just receive pain, sadness, fear, anxiety, because it feels good to feel it, to allow the life of the feeling itself to live out its destiny.
Oh, love that. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so my work is to help people come back to the pureness of their body. The original instructions, who the body is almost in like an art form to me. It's, I don't say postural alignment, which is where I love to start because I think it does so much for our mind and to regulate our systems. But I say the design of the body, because to me, this is this incredible divine design to this body that we have been taught is wrong. The same way we've been taught to wear shoes that don't allow our feet to move the natural way they're meant to move. And so many of us have dysfunctional feet that causes the rest of our body to compensate with the muscles, and it causes a lot of pain. So somehow, and I say this without judgment, but I say it with great passion and a very, I have an opinion about this, that when we can allow ourselves to feel the same way, to feel anxiety the same way we feel joy, and just let it move, just let it live through us, the impermanence of it, there's no attachment, there's just that moment, there's just that presence of receiving it and allowing it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most beautiful ways I've ever heard it put. So resonant for me. And I hope for my listeners as well. We have been taught from a very young age that it's not okay to have anger. It's not okay to exhibit anything less than, put on your happy face. And all of the emotions, all of them are so important and so valuable. And I really don't know where or why or how it all started, but to not allow ourselves to feel the anxiety for a moment. The problem is I think a lot of people get, they start to question why they're feeling it. And then they keep, their thoughts keep joining other thoughts of why it's okay to have this anxious feeling, why it's okay to not want to get out of it, because we've known it for so long that it's now comfortable for us. It's comfortable for us to know that I'm going to feel this anxiety today when I go into that situation, or when I see that person, or when I think these thoughts. But when it starts to become too much of interfering with finding the joy, with allowing the joy to come in, then we get real stuck and we start to really spiral ourselves into the depths of just more anxiety and more heaviness. And that can really, I mean, I know it's real. It feels real to people who can't find their way out. And I think that's a lot of the education that I would like to also bring to my holistic practice, is that feel whatever you're feeling. Like I provide an environment and a space for people to, I've often joked at myself that I'm in a past life must have been dubbed she who makes people cry, because almost everyone that comes to me on some level is grabbing for a tissue after a few minutes with me, because I've completely touched something that they have not been able to even touch themselves, and no idea that it was buried, and no idea because they've distracted themselves with trying to feel better and trying this and trying this and trying this, as opposed to just allowing. Because when you start to just allow, then it doesn't have any more power over you. And you can see it for what it is this energy and motion that's just moving through you. It's just moving. It just wants to move through you.
It's
and that's
so beautiful.
Part of our beautiful experience as humans. We came here to experience it all. So to shut ourselves off from the less desirable cultural feelings or whatever, we're not supposed to, I'm just so grateful and so honored that there are other humans on this planet talking about this and behaving this way in their communities and in their families. And every time I do this, I get chills. It's such an exciting time to be alive.
It is so exciting. And oh my gosh, yeah. And in and through the classes that I teach, a movement, through the body work that I do, my hope, my intention is to have people be able to feel in a way that is just so natural for them. They remember that. And how I do that is through the focus of alignment and starting to come within, to come into that place of sensing our way like a little woodland animal. That's why I say food for feeling rather than food for thought. Food for feeling. Just come into that place of sensing. And I work very, very intuitively, and so that's what I offer people. The hope is to remember. Like, I feel like if we could slow down long enough to feel what actually feels good and what doesn't, we could find our way back into alignment. Very, it may not be right away, but over time we could absolutely do that. And maybe I can help you find it faster, or remember some things, or open doors or open windows to help you reconnect in that way. And that's the way I work. We move inward before we move outward.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about feelings too, is that, to be able to move inward and sense where you are. As an actor, I really got a lot of practice in this. I had to know what I was feeling before I went out on that stage. Otherwise, I would be acting, and I could bring with me whatever I was feeling, and it would transform in the moment. It was such a great practice. I didn't know it at the time, right? I'd be doing this work, but it was such an amazing practice. And there's so much I want to share. There's just something that I think is so important. I had this amazing teacher. He was actually a Gestalt therapist, and he was my mentor as an acting teacher at some point. And he said, Donna, you're flailing, like you're just everywhere. Your arms are moving, He goes, just bring it back in and you'll be amazing, right? You'll be, because then the feelings will just emote and I won't be kind of pushing them away. And this relates to me to joy. And this relates to our inability to feel. I think, and this is what I was talking about, receiving with joy. And when I said a joyful force, I mean this joy that rises up. that smile that comes on your face that you don't even know where it came from, right? All of a sudden you realize you're smiling, right? Which is how I'm clearing my space. If I look at something and I find there's a smile on my face, I say, okay, I can keep this. If I, at this point it goes.
Yes.
So
yes.
kind of cool. Yeah. And so he said to me, so he taught me how to feel and stay centered. And oh my God, did my acting, it shifted everything. And oh, there was a point to this. Yes, so joy. So what it would feel like when I felt all this excitement, I would feel this excitement about this character and wanting to bring it to life. But then I would disperse all that energy outside of myself rather than receive it, rather than, there we are again with the feminine essence of learning how to receive it. I just wanted to share it before I could even live it, feel it, know it.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the power comes from. That's where the joy emanates from. That's where we meet our souls. And so when my intention, the unfolding of the gift, my soul's purpose, whatever it is, whatever the words are, is to really have people come into that place where they can feel their light, where they can feel everything, but let it be effortless. Let it be the most effective it can be from that place of alignment of where our natural design, our natural blueprint stems from. I don't know if I'm speaking it right, but you come back to yourself is the best way I can say it. So
you're saying it so beautifully, and visually all I can see is, and I think for myself, my own experience, the phrase, well, what do you have to be so happy about? What do you have to be so joyful about? Look at everything that's happening in the world. Why are you so happy? I think that when I first started to feel joy, really feel it and embody it, it was foreign. It was foreign to me. And joy was uncomfortable. You've gone through some hard stuff. You should be, staying in bed. And I could hear the society and all this stuff. And I can feel people when I'm with them that they don't feel like it's allowed, that joy is not allowed on a full-time basis, moment to moment. Joy, that good feeling good. What is, and that's the whole shift that I would love to start seeing on the planet, that I'm not only allowed to feel joy all the time, I'm not only allowed to smile when I see something that brings me joy and not realize that I'm smiling from ear to ear, but to pass that on, to, share that with other people. I think that this is such a good spot to kind of convene our conversation right now, because I'm going to have you back because I want to continue this conversation. It's 11:11. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Divine timing. Donna, you are such a light, and I'm just over the moon honored to be able to share this planet and this time and space with you.
Oh, Dania, I just have chills. Thank you for the space that you hold to let me be who I am, and to express in some ways where I feel like I can't language, and you hold the space and I can language it. I'm so grateful. Yeah.
We will talk again very, very soon. Thank you for bringing your medicine.
Thank you, Dania. Maybe we could just pick
up. And we're back.
Yeah. And
we couldn't stop. We couldn't stop.
And I was just urging Dania because I had sort of an insight. I had something light up, which is how I see the body when it's healing. It just lights up for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow that thread. And Dania said something about, when somebody says, well, why are you so happy? And it just came to me because to say that the thing that came into my mind was because I'm feeling, because I'm allowing myself to feel, period, which puts me in the present moment, which allows my sadness, fear, and anxiety to have a kind of life to it, a kind of joy, because I know it's moving. I never thought of it like that before, Dania.
Light
So
bulb.
isn't that like, there it is. That's that divine technology that nature does every day, that dogs do, that our body does when allowed, when it's separated from the mind.
Yeah.
This is what we're meant to do. And in that, whether it's the sadness, the grief, the anger, there's a kind of light, there's a kind of effortlessness, there's this delight, there's this nutrient of being able to feel.
In Ayurveda, there are marma points, similar to acupressure points. And over 72,000 points of light that are energy able to get through the body. And throughout the course of our life, through all the ways, they get blocked, they get closed. And in Ayurveda, they liken marma points to windows. And I've been doing a lot of work with this with my people. And it's amazing the beauty of when you can sense a closed window and that emotion that just can't get out. It's like a trapped bird trying to get out of a window, trying just to get out of the window. It can see the outside, it can smell the air, but it just can't get out. And when you can allow yourself to open up that window and it just flies free, oh, not only is there relief, but now there's opening to receive more of what you really wanted. And that's a lot of what we've been talking about, is allowing the energy of these emotions to come in. But if we're closed, if the windows aren't open, you're not going to get a cross breeze.
Yeah, so beautiful. And if we're terrified of feeling,
yes,
my mother's terrified of feeling. My two nieces are terrified of feeling, Donia. One of them has anxiety like you wouldn't believe, and one of them has an eating disorder. And they're terrified of feeling. And here I am, like, it's crazy. And what I'm thinking of is, I try to release bugs, insects, right, that come in. And, you open the screen and they still don't leave.
I know.
Right? They don't leave. This is how we are. And Joe Dispenza said something the other day, and I heard him say, and it really hit me. He said, the body has become the mind. I'm starting to understand this differently. So Kathy Heller would talk about the chemical reaction we have now, right?
Yes.
To anxiety and how cortisol is made. And so even, whatever, the joy almost becomes the anxiety because it's this chemical reaction to make this cortisol. And so when he said that our body has become our mind, I thought, oh my God, because people, when I said about the people learning the purity of who their body is, we have, like, people have no idea who their body is. Like, I feel like I've been given this gift to see the body. I know the body. The body is this, probably the most amazing structure, like the rose, that is tangible on this planet. And we just turn away. It's insane, right? And so what Joe Dispenza says, which I love, because one of my greatest mentors is Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, because he learned from dogs about dogs. And I learned from the body about people's body, right? Yeah. That's how I learned about the body is from nature, right? And so it goes back to the nature. And so what Joe Dispenza said, and all these fireworks are going off, he said, think about your body like a dog. When you're going to eat something, and I love this, because I do this, right? I have a flip phone, so I do not have a phone where I can go online. Amen, right?
Yes.
But I can sit down in front of the TV when I eat, right? Which, by the way, we then don't receive the nutrients. Our body doesn't receive the nutrients in the same way. So I've been practicing telling my body when I go to eat, sit, relax, stay. Don't reach for that. Don't reach for that phone. Sit. And my body, like a dog, loves to be told what to do when it's out of alignment. Just like it loves to be, just like the compensating muscles love to be told to release so that they can then move back to where they belong, into the dysfunctional place, and become functional again. And so I'm like starting to work with that, and bells are going off, ideas that, and what it's like a lava lamp. This is how I visualize it, if you're visual, right? And then the body starts to break away from the mind. And I call it a community of the body. Everything can be in alignment with what it is. Our womb, our heart, our back heart, which I think is different than our front heart, our mind, our guttural brain, our body, our soul. Our body houses all of these things. They are a community, but we have separated them or brought them all into just one left wing community, right wing community. No, I don't want to put anybody out.
Right.
Left
right.
or to say left or right, right? Either way, we're tipped to one side. One masculine community that's not in balance and so desperately hungry to come in balance again with the feminine community, the right and left hemisphere of our brain. And so to begin to understand that we can separate the body from the mind and learn to feel again, and learn from the body how to move and how to sense and feel our way, and not know what to do, and allow the guidance that comes from behind, the grace, the divine, to show us the way. And we can only do that through feeling, through sensing. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad I unclicked the record button. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love the dog analogy. I love it.
Me too.
Stay, sit. Because if there is one animal on the planet that fully embodies unconditional love, is the dog. My Roscoe, my beautiful, he's actually a pit mastiff mix. So he was huge. His face was like massive. Everybody loved him. And he was just horribly treated his whole life. But he was the happiest damn animal on the planet every time he saw another human being. Like, maybe this time they'll love me. And after we had him for a few years, it was just his physical body. You could tell he had issues, but like his joy kept coming forward, just kept coming forward, regardless of all of this shit he'd been through. And that, I don't know, maybe more humans need to be like dogs, right? There's always hope. There was always hope in his heart. There was always hope in his face that this human's going to be better. This human's going to be different. Or even the same human that mistreated him, they just keep going back because they know how much love they have inside of them. They know what their being is about. They know what their alignment is. And to be away from that alignment doesn't feel good. So I don't want to go over there. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to let it go through me, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back to center. I'm always going to come back to this place.
Yeah. And I would say our bodies are exactly the same.
Yes.
Because bodies are unconditional love. If you think about the body, it is the fucking most powerful warrior on this planet. It is abused. It is blamed for everything. Our thoughts to the body are torture in a way.
Yeah.
In our body, the moment we move into a place of feeling or joy, our body is right there serving us. Our body, I see it as the same, Dania. It's the same. And if we can get to know our bodies in this way, that they are simply designed, just like dogs are designed for this unconditional love, just like babies are, right?
Yes.
Our bodies, just like nature is, will continue to come back because their joyful purpose is to sustain us and to heal us over and over and over. And that is their natural blueprint. And if we can start to know that, oh my gosh, our capacity for healing can happen like the earth at COVID. Amen.
Yes. Amen. Well, what are you doing for the rest of the afternoon? Because I could just keep going. Oh, thank you. Thank you, listeners, for putting up with our continuation. This is going to be one hell of an episode. I just love it. So I will, all of your information is going to be in the show notes. It's going to be, I do have this also video. It's going to be on YouTube. So in all different platforms, you'll be able to find Donna and myself, and ways of reaching out to Donna should you decide to work with her. Thank you so much again, Donna. This has been an absolute experience in pure alignment.
And that wraps up another episode of We Are the Medicine podcast. Wanted to take a moment to thank you and to let you know that I am grateful and I appreciate you so much. I see you. I hear you. I do understand. If you feel called, subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment with it, and check out my website for future happenings, DaniaAnastasia.com. That's all for now. I love you so much. It's crazy.